Today, we are going to look at powerful Tournament Magic the Gathering cards that are just absolutely awful in EDH. I would like to propose the first card to be Tarmogoyf, a green 1 generic. Card that has a lot of text on it, however, it does absolutely nothing, because Tarmogoyf's power is equal to the number of card types among cards in all graveyards, and its toughness is equal to that number plus 1. So essentially, it's a vanilla creature. It doesn't tap to do anything, it has no special activated abilities, but this card was unbelievably powerful in Legacy, in Modern, because for 2 mana, you essentially had like a 4/5, 5/6, sometimes a 6/7 creature by turn 3. Not bad. You fill up the graveyard with a fetch land. You kill your opponent's creature with an instant or sorcery. Play, get an artifact in the graveyard with Mishra's Bauble. Boom! The Tarmogoyf's a really powerful, strong creature in 1-on-1, but 1-on-3, this card looks absolute trash. So let me know all your favorite. Yeah, wow, early morning stream. Well, that depends on where you are in the world, because I'm in Europe right now, and it's 2 p.m. So wherever you are in this world, let's get the conversation started. My next card is going to be Lightning Bolt. Man, is this one of the most mana-efficient ways of, like, killing creatures, hitting your opponent? I mean, it's essentially like a win condition. If your opponent's low enough on life, you can just burn them down for 3 damage. 20-0 is not too hard when you got a bunch of Lightning Bolts in your deck, especially when you can play multiples of them. But in EDH... like, what is this card doing? What, you know, you throw a lightning bolt at somebody at their 40 life, and it's like, well, you just pissed me off. That's all you did. You didn't, you're not even close to killing me. Not to mention, like, you know, it doesn't even kill. I don't know how many creatures it's going to kill. Anyone playing with lightning bolt in their deck, that you'd be much better off playing, like, something that hits multiple creatures at the same time. I really can't tell you what that might be. Personally, I would play something like Earthquake over Lightning Bolt, but this is one of the, arguably the best, most played card, I think, in Legacy, because it's a Swiss Army knife for a 1-on-1 game, but is really, 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 whoops. I think EDH is in the title too. I'll fix that afterwards. Thank you very much. That's right, you bolt the bird. You go bolt the bird. Oh, it's a powerful tournament. Hold on, I do have to change that. You bolt the bird. It's one way of slowing down your opponents. Okay, hold on, we have to change the title. Because this is powerful Tournament Magic the Gathering cards that are awful in EDH. There we go. A Boreal Grazer! That's a pretty neat one. Okay, let's look at a Boreal Grazer. King, you're like up at every hour of the day. Do you like even sleep? I don't get it. Okay, hold on. Boreal Grazer? Oh, sorry, it's Arboreal Grazer. All right, the green 0/3 creature with reach, and it's a beast. When Arboreal Grazer enters the battlefield, you may put a land from your hand onto the battlefield. Very weird card. I mean, if I looked at this set and said, wow, this is going to see play in tier 1 combo decks in both Pioneer and Modern, I would just laugh at you. Well, what is this card? It's like a weird ramp card. But essentially what it is it's like Mox Diamond. You put it into play and then you get a land in play. So Mox Diamond is like an artifact that has to put a land. You have to like discard a land to put this in play. This is a creature. This is Mox Diamond the creature. So excellent ramp. The sees play in the Primeval Titan decks. In Modern, also sees play in the Lotus Field combo decks in Pioneer. However, not nearly as sexy as a ramp spell for Commander. Commander would rather get multiple lands onto the battlefield at once. Although I'm not super familiar with the deck lists. I don't know, does anyone... like, it is a Mox Diamond, right? It's still Mox Diamond. Who wouldn't want to play with a creature Mox Diamond in EDH? Maybe I'm mistaken. I don't play any green EDH decks. I haven't seen them. What am I doing this early? I'm not this early. I'm late. As far as I'm concerned. Oh, it can get earlier than this. Ragavan sees play in EDH. I mean, that card sees play everywhere. So I mean, that's Doesn't work out. Abzo's got it right. All right, we look at Soul Scar Mage. Soul Scar Mage. Very efficient. 1-drop, a 1/2 creature with prowess. If a source you control would deal non-combat damage to a creature an opponent controls, put that many -1/-1 counters on that creature instead. This card is it's completely busted in tournament magic because you just rattle off a bunch of spells and try to get your opponent's life total from 20 to 0 very, very easily. Very hard thing to block. Comes out into play turn 1. But you only have it, those decks, they only have enough resources to take your life total from 20 to 0. Imagine you have 3 opponents, and so instead of 20 life points you have to take down 120 life points. This guy's not going to do the job, and therefore is absolutely miserably terrible. Oh, Death Shadow. This card is interesting. It saw a lot of jank play at first, and now it's like just a tournament staple in Modern and Legacy. For 1 black, we have a 13/13 creature, but there's a catch. Death Shadow gets -X/-X, where X is your life total. So in the 20 life total, the 20 life total tournament magic games, you can use fetch lands and shock lands and Thoughtseize to bring your life total to below 13 relatively quickly, and then get this thing online and start beating your opponent down with like a 1-mana 4/4, a 1-mana 7/7, however low you want to go. But in EDH, when you have 40 life, and this is again like just another vanilla creature. I think does anyone play with any vanilla creature? What is like the best vanilla creature in EDH? Are there any? Does anyone want to play with like essentially a creature that just has big power and toughness but no other abilities? Doesn't feel like the flavor of the format. You're going to need a little bit more power behind those creatures. So yeah, Death Shadow sees incredible amounts of tournament play, but you'll be caught dead with. Imagine someone tries to make like tournament Magic the Gathering the EDH deck with Tarmogoyf and Death Shadow and Lightning Bolt. They'll get annihilated. They'll just get annihilated. Stormcrow is not competitive. Never was. Savannah... Okay, you're going back. I think even by today's standards, no one would play Savannah Lions. But, I mean, at the time... Back in my day... It's not even my day. I wasn't even around when this card was actually good. A white 2/1 creature. I don't know, maybe when I was playing in the year 2000, this saw some play in Extended. But not really. I mean, White Weenie was a thing. It was an archetype. We'll just say it traditionally saw some tournament play, but now sees absolutely no play. Because for 1-mana 2/1 creature is just terrible. Really? Arcbound Ravager sees no play in EDH? Nothing? Even as a sack outlet? That sounds pretty good. Now we're going to take Esley's... We're going to take Esley's opinion here. So the 2-mana 0/0, sack an artifact, put a counter on Arcbound Ravager, and it's got module. So you can like... this enters the battlefield with a counter on it. When it dies, you can put its counters on target artifact creatures. You can sack a bunch of artifacts to this thing, put it all on an Inkmoth Nexus, hit your opponent for a 1-shot kill. Or even Arcbound Ravager can do the job itself, and really resistant to removal. However, I don't know its actual application in EDH. I would imagine some artifact deck could still maybe make use out of this, but honestly, I don't got anything for you, so I don't know. Not enough module stuff in Singleton. But even then, can you make use out of the artifacts being sacrificed? It is a sacrifice outlet. So, I mean, I could see this not being very good in an affinity-style deck or an artifact like module type deck, but is still a sack outlet for 2 mana. That is not too bad. I want to see a module deck, but it's not really viable in EDH because it's Singleton. So what, there's only like 5 module cards out there? Chris! Thoughtseize is super niche in EDH. Well, you can only see one person's hand, right? So this is one of the most back-breaking cards you could see on turn 1 in a tournament, because by turn 1, target player reveals their hand, you choose a non-land card from it, that player discards that card, you lose 2 life. So you screw up their curve, because if they have only one thing to do on turn 1 or turn 2, you take it, and basically they have nothing to do. You take their win conditions. It's incredibly good versus combo decks. It's good against people who are trying to disrupt your combo. It's free information for the rest of like so many turns, because you get to write down your opponent's hand and know exactly what, more or less have a good idea of either exactly what they have or mostly what they have in their hands. So you can play around really well with what's going on. So it's like Gitaxian Probe, except you have to pay a mana and you got to rip out one of the cards from their hand. So very, very strong, powerful card. But what if you have 3 people at the table? What if there's 3 people at the table? You only get to choose one of them. So maybe this is like a niche way of like trying to protect your combo in a combo deck, maybe an authorical deck, but obviously this is a very awkward card. Super awkward card. Doesn't replace itself like Gitaxian Probe. So, pretty awkward. Tron Lands! That's a great one from Pens. Okay, let's get Urza's Tower. Let's get the tower, people. The tower. All right. Add a colorless. If you control an Urza's Mine and Urza's Power Plant, yeah, add 3 mana instead. So we need the combo is Urza's Mine and Urza's Power Plant. He had a whole city or something going on here. Yeah, so all of them combined. So the power plant and mine, if you got the Tron combo on the battlefield, they'll add each 2 colorless mana each, and then tower will add 3 mana. So if you can fill your deck with 4 of each, and you have a bunch of tutors to go find them, it's not really that big of a problem to get that combo online. However, in the singleton format, where you only have 1 Urza's Tower, you have only 1 Urza's Mine, well, they look absolutely pathetic by themselves. Really hard to get the combo online. So yeah, Urza's Tower, not so good in the 99. Has anyone tried though? I mean, it's still sort of a free. If you have a colorless deck, I don't know. I would imagine the Eldrazi decks, they're playing it anyway. Like, it's not great. It's not bad. I mean, it's not useless though. At one time, these were these were a basic land. How Brainstorm not used in blue? What, no one? I would imagine Brainstorm is still good in EDH. I mean, I don't know though, to be honest. I'm depending on you guys. Jesus would have banned any black demon decks from his player group. Sorry, thinking about this. Thinking about this gives me giggles. Ban all the demons. All the demons go away. Karn liberated any planeswalker outside a dedicated Super Friends deck. Really? This doesn't look that bad. I mean, it's 7 mana, so maybe you don't have the time to get this thing in play. But still, oh yeah, only target player exiles a card from the hand. If it was every player, that might have been good. 7 mana for a 6 loyalty Karn Planeswalker, +4. Target player exiles a card from their hand. -3, exile target permanent. And -14, restart the game, and you get to play with all the cards you've exiled with Karn. If you only hit 1 permanent. And like, what are you gonna do for the -3? You're just gonna peeve someone off? They're gonna make this thing a target. But wait, what if you go +4? 10 loyalty, that's a lot of loyalty, even for Karn. And still threatening to reset the game is like threatening to like start the game over when you're about to lose. It's like an alternate way of like, I would think this thing's underrated. You can even ramp this thing out with your mana. You know, turn 1 Soul Ring, turn 2 Mana Crypt, land Karn liberated, and go +4, +4, +4, +4, restart the game. I don't know. It's also hard to attack. So I hear like people like, you know, planeswalkers, they get killed off super easily. Well, this is like a pretty easy one to get in play, I think, with your mana artifacts, and also +4. Starting loyalty at 10. That's a hell of a card. That's a hell of a card. King Ginger with Violent Outburst. That's a good one. Like, what are you gonna get? Sorry. What are you gonna get with your Violent Outburst in EDH? So we got a red-green 1 generic Cascade. So you get Cascade cards from the top of your library till you hit your Cascade spell. So but you would force your EDH deck to play with no 1-drops, no 0-drops. You see, in Modern, we use this to get Living End, Crashing Footfalls. Let's go get those cards. Living End, which is a combo deck of putting a bunch of creature cards in the graveyard, and then you play Living End, wipe your opponent's board, and put all your creatures onto the battlefield. And Crashing Footfalls is another way to abuse Cascade. In the competitive formats, create two 4/4 green Rhino creature tokens, and in some situations, Ancestral Recall has also been a target in the past for the Cascade spells. Oops, no, not Ancestral Recall. Ancestral Visions. Ancestral Recall. It's too powerful. Ancestral Vision. There we go. Ancestral Vision. But what would it take to play this card in EDH? It would mean you can't play with Soul Ring. You can't play with your Mana Rocks. You can't play... You can't play with Mana Vault, Mana Crypt. You can't play with Mox Diamond. Because otherwise you'd hit those things. And those things seem pretty useless. So, and you'd cut out all the other 1-drops and 2-drops from your deck. That's not worth it. Violent Outburst is violently garbage in EDH. All right, we're going to look at some more incredibly powerful Tournament Magic cards, which are absolutely useless in Commander, but we have to thank our sponsors, FusionGamingOnline.com, your one-stop shop to go get all your Magic the Gathering cards. If I need cards, the first place I look is FusionGamingOnline.com. And look at that! Deal of the week, save 15%, what is that, 15% off all Mirage singles. They got the goods for you. You got your Null Rods, you got your Mystical Tutors, your Lion's Eye Diamonds. Go get your cards from FusionGamingOnline.com. And don't forget to use coupon code Nikachu. There we go. For 5% off all your purchases. We're also going to thank Mana Traders. You're the premier place for renting Magic cards online. Play any format, any time that you want when you're renting the cards on Magic Online with Mana Traders. You can support the channel using my Mana Traders link in the description below, or save 10% off your first 2 months using coupon code Nikachu_U3V. And back to violently terrible Magic the Gathering cards. Ta-da! Jace? Does anyone... Jace the Mind Sculptor is awful in EDH. Does anyone play... It doesn't seem that bad. It's like 2 cards a turn. Sometimes 3 if you can, like, fetch away cards. I have to admit, I don't play the card. Jace the Mind Sculptor. It's way better in one-on-one Magic than Tournament Magic. Minus, like... The most important ability is just drawing 3 cards. So it's like a 4-mana card drawing machine. And a good card... It's basically Jace the Card Sculptor. Now in one-on-one, getting like an extra card on your opponent every single turn is absolutely backbreaking. You don't feel it at first, but after a few turns, I mean, you just lose to this damn thing. Especially if it's followed up with a fetch land. Draw 3, put 2 cards back, play fetch land, clear the top cards of your... top garbage cards off your deck. Absolutely insane. But in EDH, I think it's okay. I mean, don't you have like 4 mana cards that draw an extra card every turn anyway? I think it's not too bad. And Narset, that's like that's an EDH mandatory staple. They play that with the wheels, Chris. Okay, there, Geyer's got the idea. Goblin Guide. Basically, you could just name the whole burn deck, in my opinion. Just name the burn deck. Yeah, we got 1 red for a 2/2 creature with haste. Whoops, hold on. 2/2 creature with haste. Goblin Guide attacks. Defender reveals the top card of their library. If it's a land card, they put it into their hand. Otherwise, take 2 damage. And the red player gets to learn a little bit about what's going on in your archetype. So, very good in one-on-one, because like it is card disadvantage. That card disadvantage doesn't matter in a one-on-one game when you're dead. That's effectively that's the problem. But 20 life is not nearly as bad as trying to take down 40 life. But anyway, good luck to the burn players in EDH. Boulder with the super chat, best streamer ever. Been waiting for a stream all week. Unearth or glimpse the unthinkable. Okay, let's look at Unearth. Can't remember what Glimpse the Unthinkable does. Okay, we got our Unearth here. Truth be told, I don't even think this is good in Tournament Magic. Alright, we got a black sorcery. Return target creature card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, and you have cycling of 2. Does anyone play this in EDH? I'm going to assume no, but outside of that, like, this card sees a lot of bad play in, like, Modern, and I think Pioneer. No, hold on. This is not a Pioneer legal card, right? I think it's just a Modern legal card. They put it, yeah, they put it directly into Modern. Yeah, it's a funny card. People love the idea of returning their creatures, their small creatures from their graveyard back to the battlefield. Are there any good targets for this? Your regular stuff, your Tarmogoyfs, your Ragavans. The whole deal is, it's if your creature costs like 2 or 3, then you get it back for 1 mana, and at like worst case scenario, you cycle it. So it does see, it does see play in Doomsday. All right, I am corrected. Maybe in Legacy, Unearthed sees a little bit of play. Little play. It sees, sorry, I want to say it does see play. It sees a lot of play in the competitive formats. I think all the decks suck though. Budget, that's very budget, that's for sure. Nikachu live at this hour. I'm telling you, people, you gotta subscribe and hit your notifications, hit the bell notification, because these lives, they can come at any moment. Oh, that is such a good one from Kagum. Exhume is so awkward. That's right. Oh, I didn't spell that right. But we're back. Okay, Exhume. Staple Reanimator card. Black 1 generic sorcery. Each player puts a creature card from their graveyard onto the battlefield. But, you know, that's so easy to control when it's just one-on-one, and undoubtedly the creature you put in the graveyard is going to outpower anything your opponent does. But in EDH, you never know what's going to happen. And you also, like, you know, if the game goes long enough, your opponents might have better things to bring onto the battlefield than you. It's like show and tell, but you lose. Show and tell is like a bit of a trap, I think, in multiplayer. You never know when someone's going to play. We could even put that one here. Does anyone play show and tell in EDH? This is an incredibly great a one-on-one tournament card, because you could put Emrakul in play, you put Grizzlebrand, you now get Atraxa and stuff like that. But in multiplayer, you know, people will put things that will neutralize your creature and just completely destroy you. I do see it in Group Hug with Tempting Worm. Right. Fortcam says, Nikachu streaming at a time I could be up. You're welcome. Show and Tell is asking for Omniscience to come down against you. Yeah, that could happen too. You never know when Show and Tell is going to badly backfire in a multiplayer game. And also, anyone could have just this gigantic creature in hand. Like, I don't know, like an Ulam... no, is it Ulamog? No, hold on. Wait, I think it's Ulamog. It's like enter the battlefield, destroy a permanent, right? The OG Ulamog. When it's... oh, when you cast the spell. No, that doesn't work. No, it doesn't work. Doesn't work like the way I thought it was going to work. Some things have to be on cast. Some things need to enter the battlefield. But anyway, yeah, be careful when you show and tell. Gataxian Probe is a staple in EDH. I believe that because at least it draws a card, so you can at least see one of the... and it costs you nothing, because like you're 40 life, who cares? Is Thoughtseize good in EDH? That one's awkward, but we did that one. Spell Pierce. Does Spell Pierce see play in EDH? Like, that is an odd... because the thing is, like, you're limited by the number of good counter spells, and they usually have already filled up with, like, Force of Will, Force of Negation, the one that's free if you have a commander in play, Pact of Negation. You don't have a whole lot of, like, once you put in, like, the best of the best counter spells, you start running out of room. Like, for example, it sounds like to me, at like, the tournament EDH level, they don't even play Mana Drain. That's, like, apparently that's debatable. This card's banned in Legacy. And apparently is debate. I mean, it sees a lot of play in EDH. Don't get me wrong. Like, I love this card. All blue players, except for maybe the tournament EDH players, don't like this card. But that just goes to show that if, like, some tournament EDH players don't think this makes the cut, then, you know, stuff like Spell Pierce might not make the cut either. New to MTG here. What does EDH mean? It means commander. Do you know what that means? If you don't know what that means, I have no idea how you found out about EDH, about Magic the Gathering. Usually that is the way that they funnel stuff in here. Yeah, you play Swan Song over Spell Pierce. That is like, that's a staple. But the thing is, and that's the thing. Swan Song, that one. One-on-one, that's awkward. Giving your opponent a 2/2 creature in a 20 life game, that bird will kill you. That's why that in one-on-one games, we prefer cards like Spell Pierce, and it's more versatile because it can hit the Planeswalkers, which is much more, they're way more powerful in a one-on-one game. But in like, you have so much mana in EDH, it's so hard to hit anything with this card, holding up this 1 mana. It's not even guaranteed you're gonna counter anything. So yeah, Spell Pierce, not very good in actual EDH. Lotus Petal is great. Oh, I think Lotus Petal is great in any format. Ooh, there we go. Delver of Secrets. I like that one. Nikachu Spelling Challenge. Difficulty impossible. All right, a blue 1/1 creature, but at the beginning of your upkeep, you have to look at the top card of your library. You may reveal it. And then if it's an instant or sorcery spell, you may flip this thing, and it turns into a 3/2 flying creature. It's like, what makes this card good, and it sees play over multiple formats between standard, pauper, modern, legacy, is that it's mana efficient. It's a 1 mana 3/2 creature. It doesn't see actually as much play in Modern anymore. Actually, I believe it does not see play in Modern anymore because Ragavan is just better, but it has seen play, and it's still a competitive card overall. So it's just for 1 mana, you can have a 3/2 in play, and that's like a 7-turn clock against your opponent, and most of the blue decks can basically seal the game up between 7 or less turns with the help of some lightning bolts. But you have to also fill your deck with a lot of instants and sorceries to make this useful, and also multiple delvers are better than just a few delvers. That's when when we get to EDH, like, are you gonna fill your deck up with mostly instants and sorceries and try to beat your 40 life total opponent down with this 3/2 creature? I don't think so. This comes down to like another one of those like, basically it's like a vanilla creature, like flying. Who cares? They don't care about that. There's got to be some real text on this card to make it useful. So yes. Honestly, Chalice of the Void, that's a good question. Does Chalice see play in EDH? Maybe not. Does anyone know if Chalice of the Void sees play there? This is a heavily played card in the tournament formats between Modern and Legacy. Very, very heavily played. It's restricted in Vintage because it just blows all the Moxen out of the water. Not really too many different mana values, but you could play it on 0. That might hurt some decks. Especially, I would imagine Chalice on 1. But the thing is, like, if you play it on 1, it probably screws you over just as much because now you can no longer play things like Soul Ring or Mana Vault or anything like that. I don't know how many decks would play all those, but Chalice is an incredibly versatile card because in general, this is not a hard rule, but in general, people try to be as mana efficient as possible in the competitive tournament formats. And Chalice on 1 is a really, really good play for a lot of decks, especially on the chunkier side, and also has some really good play on 0, just because we talked about those violent outburst targets like Living End, Crashing Footfalls, Ancestral Vision. Chalice on 0 nails all of those, so it's a great sideboard card in that regard. But yeah, very awkward against those other decks. Share Bait will get you kicked out of most play groups if you manage to get in a keep it in play. Shared Fate. Well, yeah, but it doesn't see. I don't think that's a tournament card. Okay, hold on. I saw turn 1 Mist Land Drop with Amulet of Vigor. Is that true? Is this card bad in EDH? This card is very good in Modern. It essentially sees play in 1 deck, and that is the Primeval Titan deck, to abuse cards like Waterlogged Grove, for example. So the Karoo, Simic Growth Chamber. These Simic lands, they all look the same. All right, so enters the battlefield tapped, but when it enters the battlefield, return a land you control to its owner's hand. But thanks to thanks to our Amulet of Vigor, our Simic Growth Chamber will actually come into play untapped. You still gotta return a land back to your hand, but sometimes you want to return this back to your hand. So you put it into play, tap it for 2 mana, bounce it back to your hand, and then with a Zuza or Dry the Elysian Grove, get a bunch of extra mana because you can replay. You get some extra land drops. So Amulet of Vigor, a lot of so it's a staple of Modern, but I just have no idea if it sees any play in EDH at all. Amulet is amazing. Amulet definitely has potential, but no one has broke it yet. It sees play in the Gates deck. That sounds terrible. Who's playing Gates? Sorry to offend you, Pens fan. I have a feeling you're playing the Gates deck. Whoever brought it up probably is playing it. It's the rules around here. Lynn Civvy? Well, we are going way back. I would think if you want to make a Rebel deck, probably Lynn Civvy is still good today. It's not that great. Ren and 6 is great in both. Ren and 6 is great in I'm assuming Ren and 6 is playing EDH. If not, that's very weird. Because this should be good for recycling cards. Turia! Bridge from Below. The Magic the Gathering card. That doesn't even look like a real Magic the Gathering card. Okay, black, but the casting cost is useless. It's an enchantment. Whenever a non-token creature is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, if Bridge from Below is in your graveyard, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Whenever a creature is put into an opponent's graveyard from the battlefield, if Bridge from Below is in your graveyard, exile Bridge from Below. So any of your creatures die, no problem. Make a 2/2 black zombie creature token so long as Bridge from Below is in the graveyard. Really good card in... It's seen it play in a lot of random, how do I put it, graveyard decks, variety of different flavors and so on. But I have no idea if this sees any play in EDH. It looks really hard to build around it. Okay, Steven says there is a Gates in EDH since most recent Commander Legend said, they brought the Gates back. Gates is a deck. We could do another one. Decks in EDH that see no play in the competitive formats. Bridge is an AI card before AI cards were invented. Or maybe it's just an AI card. Who knows what they do at Hasbro? They have probably their own AI generator. How about Murktide? That's a good one. I don't think Murktide sees any play in EDH. Who would want to play that card? It's awkward to play these types of cards. Like, if it has no special ability outside of, like, flying, it's not that particularly exciting or sexy or anything like that. So, Murktide is a blue 5 generic for a 3/3, but it's got Delve, so if you fill your graveyard up, you can get this thing in play, relatively cheap, probably for 2 mana. And enters the battlefield with a counter on it for each instant or sorcery card you exiled. But the big thing with these decks is, like, you have to fill your deck with a lot of instants and sorceries, which is not too big of a deal. Like, I'm sure there's, like, tons of Storm-like decks in EDH, but, like, are you going to really have this payoff in your deck? I don't think so. What, Birthing Pod does not see play in EDH? I almost don't believe that. Maybe it doesn't see competitive play, but Birthing Pod is banned in competitive formats. Hogak is really? Hogak is played very little. Is Golgari Grave Troll not played? Okay, hold on. Let's get to these. Golgari Grave Troll. Like, this is still a pretty good graveyard card. I guess there's better ways of, like, filling up the graveyard than with things like Golgari. You only have one. Like, you filled your deck up with all the dredgers. That would be like, I don't know, 5 dredgers in your deck. So it's got a lot of words on it, but for tournament Magic, it's all ignored. So, like, all this stuff, forget about it. It means nothing. All that matters is the Dredge 6 at the bottom. Dredge 6. Put it back into your hand for your draw step. Put the top 6 cards of your deck into your graveyard. So really hard to chain this with other Golgari Grave Trolls. Yeah, I could see it. Like, a 99 card deck, your dredging will just be insanely inconsistent and useless. I play Hogak and Golgari Grave Troll in Muldrotha. All right, we have one person representing Hogak. I can see Hogak being played in like, I don't see any problem with Hogak in EDH. Like, it's a gigantic creature, and you can get it back from your graveyard. That's a very different card from, say, Murktide Murktide Regent or Gurmag Angler, which have traditionally been very good delve spells. But Hogak, I mean, Hogak is basically invincible. Hermit Druid is just a better troll. Okay, true story. Wait, you have like a... Yeah, you have Hermit Druid. Okay, hold on. Let's look at Hermit Druid. You also have 99 cards in your deck. Yeah, you have Hermit Druid. Reveal the cards from the top of your library until you reveal a basic land card. Put that card into your hand, and all other cards that revealed this way into your graveyard. I'm sure there's a lot of other Hermit Druid types of cards. Does Allurin sees no play? You have so many good ones, Esley. I guess that's a bit awkward. Any player may play in creature cards with converted mana cost 3 or less without paying their mana cost and as though they had flash. But you EDH players, you want to play the big chunky spells. It's the whole idea of playing EDH. You got all that mana, but you're going to spend it on 3 mana cards? Useless. Doomstalker? Yeah, another delve creature. And Duke says plays Hermit Druid and Oathbreaker. That's broken. That's absolutely broken. Life from the Loam. Hold on, sorry. Life from the Loam doesn't see play EDH. Really? It's like all the dredgers. Life from the Loam. You don't want to bring your lands back? The green 1 generic sorcery, return up to 3 target land cards from your graveyard to your hand, and it's got Dredge 3. So this is really good in lands decks that are playing with like Tabernacle, Dark Depths, Thespian Stage. Very also good in the graveyard decks like Dredge, because they need their mana. They need consistent. Their mana is not that great. They're like a weird 5-color deck. Some of their lands like Gemstone Caverns just get like, they get depleted and they go straight to the graveyard. So Life from the Loam brings them back, regenerates them. You get more mana. But I can see this being a really weak card overall. Oh, I like this one from turn 1 and K9 BS. Pithing Needle. Really? This doesn't seem that bad. It's like removal, right? I think it's like removal. In fact, this is removal that can hit multiple players if they're playing with the same card. Turn 1 Pithing Needle can name like Soul Ring, for example, when you're not using Soul Ring. Activated abilities of sources with the chosen name can't be activated unless they're mana... Oh, no, you can't name Soul... Okay, you can name Soul Ring, but it's useless. That's what you can do. Okay, what can you use this for? I guess you can use it to... okay, well, I'm done. Okay, maybe it's just garbage. This is banned in Brawl. Yeah, because you can name the... you can name the Planeswalkers, right? And that's the whole point of the format. Oh, this is probably also banned in Oathbreaker. Or maybe not. I don't know. I didn't look. Charlie Peterson with the super chat. Cauldron complete. Can't rely on finding stone. Yeah, you can. And then if you draw this thing, it's pointless. Or really, I guess it's easier to cast than most cards. Cauldron complete, the 7 mana equipment. Now you might be thinking, how does this see play in competitive formats? Well, because of Stoneforge Mystic. You can play with, so you can play with 1 Cauldron complete, but you play with 4 Stoneforge Mystic. Then when it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for an equipment card, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle your library. But holy crap, well, you're gonna have 1 Stoneforge Mystic in your 99 to find this stupid thing? Now it is a living weapon with indestructible, and the creature gets +5/+5. And first strike, trample, indestructible, haste, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a creature, exile that creature. Does a lot. It's a very good creature. Very good card. Very unreliable to find in EDH, though. Like, wait, I guess there's some other tools you can use, but like, it's even still getting it in play seems very difficult and pointless. Pithing Needle can be used to severely power down some opponent's commanders. I like that idea. I like that idea. I don't know. Pithing Needle seems awkward. It looks like it could be useful. It doesn't look completely pointless. Okay, Geyer with the Mishra's Bauble. I don't think that's true. I think Mishra's Bauble does see play. I think all the baubles see play in an Urza deck. So I don't think this is true, right? It looks like it wouldn't see play in EDH, but it's like I think it's perfectly fine. I think it's perfectly fine in an Urza deck. Because it can turn any of the artifacts into like blue mana. And then when the time is right, you just sack it. And also if you're playing with Emery, probably. Still extra card draw every turn. It's not like the greatest value, but like whatever. Value is value. You're gonna sacrifice value? It's just a mock sapphire and Urza. Yeah, I know, exactly. It's just a mock sapphire. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. So I think that one does. I think that sees play in EDH. Maybe not a lot of play, but at least in one deck. Enduring Ideal. Is that the white card? I don't think this sees even play. This doesn't even see play in Tournament Magic. Come on, get out of here. Get out of here, Abzo. That's crazy. I like this one from Christopher B, though. Meddling Mage. Can't be certain. This is seen niche play in... Okay, sometimes it sees a lot of play, sometimes it sees no play. So it's a blue-white for a 2/2. Name an online card spells with the chosen name can't be cast. This looks like it would be good, though. You could just name someone's commander, and they can't even play the commander, right? I think this card looks like it could be good. Scape Shift. Oh. Scape Shift. What do we got here? This looks like it should still be... Maybe it isn't that playable. Your opponents are at like 40 life, so you'd leave like 1,000,000 lands in play to like kill them with Valakuts. But you could also look for, I don't know, Field of the Dead? This still looks like it's a tutor. I think this should still be good, but I can't tell you what deck plays this card. Green, 2 generic, sack any number of lands, search your library for up to that many land cards, put it onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle your library. So, I mean, this has traditionally killed people by getting out like multiple Valakuts and a bunch of mountains and shoot your opponent for like 36 or more damage in one-on-one tournaments. So you easily kill them, but you only can have at most one Valakut in your deck. But even then, you can like tutor out like any lands you want. You can go get a Tabernacle of Pendrell Vale if you want. Yeah, Field of the Dead is definitely a staple. So like it still looks playable. I would be very surprised if this sees no play. Tutoring into play is still tutoring into play. Can we do a powerful EDH cards that suck in other formats? That was originally what today's show was going to be, but I decided to switch it up because I have another show. I have another show idea later on today. This Snapcaster definitely sees play in EDH. People love Snapcaster Mage. That's a good one. True Name Nemesis. Legacy Powerhouse mid. It's terrible in multiplayer. It's really bad. I mean, I guess people will play it, but it just sucks. Well, let's get this true. Where's True Name? Yeah, there we go. Blue, 1 generic, 3/1. Enters the battlefield, choose a player. Now, one-on-one, you'll just choose your opponent, and then you have protection from the chosen player. It's just so vulnerable. Like, it gets, I named one player, and then my opponent played, one of my other opponents played Earthquake, and just died. Just died on the spot. It's so vulnerable. Someone else attacks you, and I'm like, I can't block with my True Name Nemesis because like it's gonna be put kaput. Maybe this is not the it still probably sees some play, just because people want to play it. Like I'm a Merfolk player. I got a Merfolk EDH deck. I got this card in the deck just because, but it's not that good. Yeah, I know. Funny how it's first printed in the Commander deck. So like they decided, wow, this thing's completely fair in Commander, and it is. It's completely fair. A 3/1 Progenitus 4-way, but only Progenitus against one person. It's not broken whatsoever. But then all of a sudden, one-on-one. Oh my god, this thing's insane. It's just insane. We got Herbert with a super chat. All dredge cards are used in Gitrog, also Dark Depths. All right, thank you very much, Herbert, with the super chat, and also educating us that dredge cards do see play in EDH. Hot take, Field of the Dead is the most overrated land in MTG. Alright. Yeah, it looked pretty good in Modern, that's for sure. No way! What, Bazaar sees no play in EDH? No way. Or does no one play it because they can't own it? It's too expensive. The Bazaar of Baghdad. All right, this is the card. Draw 2 cards and discard 3 cards. Now this, is, I mean, this is supposed to be good with the dredge cards. And we just recognize that most decks cannot really play with the dredge cards outside of like maybe one archetype. So anyway, this card is like, Bazaar only doesn't see play because, yeah, it's like $1 billion. But you can proxy it. I mean, everyone proxies cards, right? They proxy all the other expensive. They proxy Gaia's Cradle. Why don't people proxy Bazaar of Baghdad? You have to have a very specific type of deck in order to make use of this. But I'm sure there are those types of decks. Only doesn't see play because no one can afford it. I don't think that gets around the proxy rule. And you all know you proxy out there. You all proxy. Don't pretend like you don't proxy the dual lands or anything like that. Well, Black Lotus is banned. It's banned everywhere. Banned in Tournament Magic, banned in EDH. That's why you don't see so many Black Lotuses. Are there any people playing an actual Black Lotus in EDH? Well, no. It's a banned card. Okay, Abso trying to get Fires of Invention. Ah, that does see some Fires of Invention. Interesting card. Because you are limited to what, like two cards a turn, but for free? So a red 3 generic enchantment. You can cast spells only during your turn, and you can cast no more than 2 spells each turn. But here's the deal. You may cast spells with converted mana cost less than or equal to the number of lands you control without paying their mana costs. So it's like you're able to double. It's basically you get to double your mana, but only on your turn. So if you got like 6 lands in play, then you get to play 2 6-mana cards or less that turn. Very, very playable card. Saw a lot of play in Standard. Where is this? It's like banned in some formats. I think it was banned in Standard at the time. Then it got like errated in Historic? No, it's not legal in Historic. I guess Explorer. Still sees some play, I think, in Pioneer. I've definitely seen it in Pioneer. It's still around, but I don't think it's a very good card in... I mean, I don't know if you want to handcuff yourself in EDH by only playing on your turn. It's not fun. Welcome, Adam. Welcome to everyone I usually don't see. A lot of new faces around today. I hope I can get to... If I didn't get to your card, you let me know. Let's see if there's anyone I haven't. Archibald with Fractured Sanity. I guess so. I mean, it's a mill card, so we have the blue, blue, blue. Each opponent mills 14 cards. Whenever you cycle Fractured Sanity, each opponent mills 14 cards. So very good card in one-on-one. I mean, it's now like a mill staple in the mill decks. Just have to, you basically draw a card and make your opponent mill 4 cards. Sorry. When you cycle it, you make your opponent mill 4 cards. So it'll be very early, very good in the early game, very good in the late game. But very awkward in EDH. Not to mention, you might fuel your opponent's graveyards with this card. You might be fueling your opponent's graveyards. Does Baleful Strix see no play in Commander? How sad. That can't be right, Omeek. Like, that can't be right. Like, I would imagine this is not a competitive card. Oops, I looked up Omeek. Baleful Strix is like the ultimate blocker. Look, if people are playing with the those jellyfish something Goazoa or whatever, they'll play Baleful Strix. Yeah, everyone plays Baleful Strix. Like, this is like a... Death Touch is like the staple keyword in EDH. What it basically says is, don't look at me when you want to attack, because I got the Death Touch creature, all right? I will block. Do you want to sacrifice that creature for my creature? No, you don't. So you be looking over there, or you be looking over there. Don't be looking at me. So Baleful Strix definitely I think this is just an EDH staple, period. Oh, that's a good one, Bread. Field of Ruin. They poorly designed this card. They accidentally didn't word it properly. This is a card that they fixed, right? So it's a land, add a colorless mana, pay 2, tap, sacrifice Field of Ruin, destroy target non-basic land an opponent controls. Each player searches their library. Each player! That's where they screwed up. Each player searches their library for a basic land card and puts it onto the battlefield and shuffles. So how did they word it now? I don't remember. It's a something else of ruin, right? Or is it Field of something else? Field of... How do they fix this card? Field of Ruin, Field of the Dead. No, it's something else of Ruin. Okay, how did they fix that? What's the fixed version? Just out of curiosity. Oh, Demolition Field. That's what it was. It was a field card. Demolition Field. I think they fixed it by like if you lost a land, you get a land. Destroy target non-basic land and opponent controls. That land's controller may search the library. That's right. Not everyone gets a land. That's because that's stupid. So anyway, because of the way this was worded, it was basically worded for one-on-one, not commander, so it became useless, even though it could have been one of the better cards. And so Demolition Field is now like a staple of commander, when it should have been Field of Ruin in the first place. JF with Eureka and Hypergenesis. Okay, Eureka. I think you could play this, but you'd be stupid. So it's got that same show and tell effect. I mean, so Eureka, green 2 generic, sorcery, incredibly good in the competitive formats. A bit awkward to play. I mean, you got to build around it properly. Starting with you, and each player may put a permanent card from his or her hand onto the battlefield. Repeat the process until no one puts a card onto the battlefield. Thing is, in EDH, I mean, your opponents can have insanely busted stuff that might even answer all the Eureka stuff that you put onto the battlefield. So, yeah. Garth One-Eyed allows you to play black. Yes, there is a way. Michael found the way. No one plays Fatal Push. Oh yeah, that sounds terrible. Fatal Push is like, it's like the lightning bolt of black for commander. A black, destroy target creature if it has converted mana cost 2 or less. Revolt! Destroy that creature if it has a converted mana cost 4 or less. Instead, if a permanent you controlled left the battlefield this turn. So, I mean, it's a complete staple in the competitive formats. Pioneer, Modern, I think it sees a little bit of play in Legacy, but very underwhelming for EDH, especially if to kill the big creatures. You can't depend on your opponent only playing stuff that cost 4 or less. Okay, Ginger wants to get in that Calibrated Blast. Calibrated Blast. This is just a Cascade spell, right? It's not technically Cascade, but I mean, effectively it is. Oh no, it's not Cascade. It's looking for something big. Reveal cards on the top of your library until you reveal a non-land card. Put the revealed cards on the bottom of your library in a random order. When you reveal a non-land card this way, Calibrated Blast deals damage equal to that card's mana value to any target. So the idea is you just fill your deck with like really expensive cards until you reveal a non... Yeah, so you can fill... Basically, the deck is like all lands and Calibrated Blasts and then some really big chunky stuff. And there's enough chunky stuff in Modern that's like 13, 15 mana that basically effectively puts your opponent almost dead, and then you can just finish them off with like, you know, I don't know, the land somehow, or you do it with another Calibrated Blast. And there's actually a few cards you can actually cast, things like Draco and stuff. A Scion of Draco. But anyway, in EDH, how are you going to make use of this thing? You're just going to fill your deck with lands and like one Calibrated Blast and one thing to shoot your opponent with? No, that's not going to work. Calibrated Blast is completely unplayable. Oh, Fire Blast. Yeah, basically you can roll call Fire Blast. You can roll call basically every single burn spell. And this is one of the best burn spells in the game. So, red for generic, instant. You may sack 2 mountains rather than pay Fire Blast mana cost. Fire Blast deals 4 damage to target creature or player. Yeah, I don't know if sacking 2 mountains is worth taking your opponent's life total down 10%. Not worth it. Okay, and then King Ginger with Tybalt's Trickery. Thank you very much for the super chat. Well, okay, yeah, this is actually a heavily banned card for all the goofy deck it goes into. Carry target spell, choose 1, 2, or 3 at random. Its controller mills that many cards, then exiles cards on the top of your library until they exile a non-land card with a different name other than that spell. They may cast the card without paying its mana cost, then they put the exiled cards on the bottom of their library in a random order. So you're supposed to play this card with like Violent Outburst or any Cascade spell. So the Cascade spell would find... so you play the Cascade spell. Cascade triggers, resolves, finds your Tybalt's Trickery, but the Cascade spell is still on the stack. So you target your own Cascade spell. You counter the Violent Outburst, and you go put it like an Emrakul in play or something like that. That is just a little too sketchy to make work in a 99. 2 sketch. The sketch is strong with this one. GWJ. Kiln. Yeah, we could give Kiln Fiend, sure. It's another one of those like prowess-like cards. I could almost see you killing someone in EDH with this card, because it does get +3/+3. That's not nothing. Red 1 generic for a 1/2. When you cast an instant or sorcery spell, Kiln Fiend gets +3/+0 until end of turn. Sees some fringe modern play. I believe it sees some very good Pauper play. So a Pauper staple in that regard. Yeah, so... But it's meant mostly, you know, you have just enough instant and sorcery spells. So it's like almost like Storm on a creature. Well, but you don't have that many spells, so you just play as many spells as you can and hit your opponent for lethal damage. With your Fire Lightning Bolts. And maybe Fire Blasts. That's how it works with the Kiln Fiend. Not so, I mean, like, you might have enough gas to kill one person at the table, then you're out of gas. And you basically can say, okay, I'm done. I killed one person. That was my goal for tonight. All right, you other two, come kill me. Just kill me off. I want to go get some dinner. I have better things to do today. Tommy, Dragon Rage Channel. No, really. Dragon Rage Channeler. I could see that being played in EDH just because, like, the surveilling is so powerful. Like, it's not going to kill anyone, although it'll deal a good steady chunk of damage. But, I mean, the surveil is so strong. It's basically you cast spells and you get to sculpt the top of your library. But I don't know if anyone is playing this card. Does anyone play with Dragon Rage Channeler in your EDH deck? It doesn't look like the worst. Like, it's not as vanilla as the other cards out there. Most Infect cards? I thought Infect is a big deck in EDH. Infect is so terrorizing to the EDH community. They want to change rules. They want to rule 0 Infect to 20 poison. I don't know why I thought DRC had prowess for some reason. It doesn't technically. Well, might as well have prowess. DRC could probably see play in Ragavan or Burgi. Yeah, I would think it could be very good in the Burgi deck. Spectral Maniac, Cabal Therapy. Ooh. Combo deck special. Cabal Therapy. For a single black, name a non-land card. Target player reveals his or her hand and discards all cards with that name. Flashback, sack a creature. So the deal is, like in the competitive formats, generally speaking, you're going to Cabal Therapy and name something like Force of Will, because your opponent is going to have 4 Force of Will. The odds of hitting the card that you want to hit are like relatively good. 60 card deck, 4 of that card, odds are good, right? EDH, 1 card you can name, 99 cards in the deck, impossible. Basically, you have to win the low. I mean, at the very least, you're going to see what's in their hand. You can sack a creature to go get something you actually want, but you're only going to get... Basically, it's always going to be a 1-for-1, or you'd be super lucky to have a 2-for-1. I mean, I guess you could hit someone if they tutored something into their hand, so you do know what's in their hand, but like outside of that, it's... Cabal Therapy does see quite... That is interesting. All right. Oh, my bad. I meant Cabal... Oh, no. Cabal... This is Cabal Therapy, not Ritual. Yeah, the Rituals, I'm sure, all see play. Infernal Tutor? I imagine that sees play in EDH. I could be wrong, though. Casual Commander, hate Infect, but if you look at the CDH, it isn't a factor there. Today we are evaluating cards that are even awful in Casual Commander. Surgical Extraction. Oh, yeah. Well, no. It doesn't do nothing. It's just not that good, right? Surgical Extraction. It's not nearly as good. But if your opponent had, like, say, a Reanimator target or something very specific in their graveyard to hit, then you could still surgically extract it for 2 life. Choose target card in a graveyard other than a basic land. Search its owner's graveyard, hand, and library for any number of cards with the same name as that card and exile them. Then the player shuffles. So if they still need to reanimate something from the graveyard, you could still make use of this. Plus, you will look at their deck and their hand, so you get that information going on for the rest of the game. So not completely useless, but I can totally see no one playing this card. I can also see a bunch of EDH players looking at the price of this thing. Actually, is it expensive now? What's the price? Oh, it's pretty good. You know, it's like $5 right now. I think competitive players, go buy your surgical extractions. That's a powerful card. If you can get it cheaper because they're beat up, go for it, because that has been traditionally like in the 30s range before. Today's Magic custom. Well, we'll do that tomorrow. I'm sort of late. I'm late by yesterday. I didn't do a show yesterday. Yeah, search a 100 card deck. Fun. Yes. Fun for everyone. Especially the other person. Especially the person's deck. You just stalled the whole game. Can I take a picture of your deck, please? Take a picture, take a snapshot. Know exactly what could possibly happen. What a way to slow the game down. Oh yeah, Fairy Macabre. It's true. True story. Fairy Macabre seems pretty poor. I mean, unless you have, what's it called? Where's Fairy Macabre? Unless you've got, like, a fairy deck. Blue-black fairies. Totally is possible. Infernal Tutor needs more. Oh, yeah! Okay, you know, let's go with it. Yeah, let's go in No. Hold on. Infernal Tutor requires that you just empty your hand. Like, that's why I thought it was still playable. So, I mean, in general, reveal a card from your hand, search your library for a card with the same name as that card revealed, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. But it does have Hellbent. So if you have Lion's Eye Diamond on the battlefield, you crack it. You know, if you have no cards in hand, you just search your library for a card. So I imagine this is still playable in EDH, but I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, you gotta be Hellbent with it. Yeah, just get Hellbent. Calibrated Blast was said. Same name. No! Hellbent! If you have no cards in hand, search your library for a card and put it in your hand. That's how you do it. Forget the first line of text. It's useless. But you're playing it for the second line of text, which I don't know. Maybe it's not easy to pull off. How many cards can empty your hand? There's only like one. You only get one Lion's Eye Diamond, and that's it. The second one sucks. All right, so that is going to be it for today. All right, so remember, I'm in no man's land here, so we do this Monday to Friday at like very random times. Oh, look, I'm not scaled properly. Hold on. I'm going to fix myself here. Here's my co-host Jesus here. We got Jesus. And by the way, thank you very much, everyone, for the support. I really appreciate the... Oh, where do we go here? Yeah, thank you very much for the support, everyone who's a member on YouTube, a patron on Patreon, and also everyone who super chats, who's part of the show, and also financially supports it. It makes to make sure that I'm doing this no matter where I am in the world. I'm doing this all the time. I'll never miss it. I don't know if I'm still technically catching up to yesterday's, but I'm gonna make sure there's five shows for this week. And most importantly, thank everyone who shows up in the morning, no matter what. I can't believe King Jinder is still here. Like, it's like 5 o'clock. I don't know. The guy doesn't sleep, as far as I'm concerned. So anyway, thank you very much for people like King Jinder, Tommy Sins, Kagum, Spectral Music, Maniac. Who else we got? We got Abzo. We got Zick, Alex, B1. We got Geyer. We got Turn 1, Bread, Michael, Liquid Soulfly. So thank you very much for showing up today. And as usual, keep brewing up them coffees. And we're going to keep brewing up the magic. Take care of yourselves. And I will see you at the next